New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev BRZ and Rev Z and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
And hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you over here.
And Reverend Bill over here. Hey, good to be here. Rev Z is elsewhere, I guess.
Rev Z is somewhere in a car between Dallas and Denver.
God bless him.
And I've made that drive, so yes, God bless him on that. You get us today, folks. And Dr. Bill, it's always good to have you on the program. I think you are our most requested special guest.
Oh, and my.
I have people ask me all the time, when is Dr. Bill coming back on the show? Or maybe that's just me asking myself that. I'm not sure. But yeah, I get to ask that question a lot.
As long as it's, wow, we'd love to have him back on the show. Bring that Bill back on here. We want to see that guy one more time.
Exactly. And hey, I've got a question for you. I'm hoping you can actually solve a really long-standing debate.
Well, I can certainly render an opinion. I can talk about all sorts of things I have no idea about. What's your topic?
Yes. Is vanilla a flavor? Because I'm not a big chocolate ice cream guy. I like my Cherry Garcia occasionally, but given the choice, I'll pick up vanilla ice cream almost any day. I really like a good vanilla flavor. And so is vanilla really a flavor?
I will give my personal opinion second, and first I will assign a practical exercise, an experiential, as you were, because I spent 10 years working with teens, and I found that the best way for somebody to learn something is to find it out for themselves. And you can't do it with ice cream because it doesn't apply in the ice cream world, but you can do it with the world of yogurt. So go to your favorite supermarket or bodega or wherever it is that you might be able to find multiple flavors of yogurt. Get a package of plain yogurt and get a package of vanilla yogurt.
I was thinking there's no chocolate yogurt. Where's he going with this? But okay, now I'm with you.
Plain yogurt is just yogurt, and vanilla yogurt is yogurt that's doctored up with vanilla. And one spoonful in, you'll say, yep, vanilla is a flavor.
There we go.
And that is my opinion. Yes, vanilla is a flavor. Vanilla is everybody's second favorite flavor, which is why it's the most popular flavor. Because nobody doesn't like vanilla. There are people who don't like chocolate. There are people who just, don't get along with butter pecan or mint chocolate chip or whatever. But everybody, if you say, we have this gross flavor or vanilla, they'll say, I'll take vanilla.
I'll take vanilla. So, folks, you may be wondering why we're talking about vanilla this morning.
Because it's so much less painful than talking about the news.
Yes. And Bill introduced me to an interesting fun fact this morning, and that is that the country of Madagascar, their prime or perhaps only export.
Their big export, yeah. The only thing they really sell to the United States is vanilla. And it's the whole island of Madagascar.
Yes. And your vanilla is going to start costing 50% more.
That's because the vanilla farmers in Madagascar are not buying huge amounts of stuff from the United States. They're squandering their money on things like, I don't know, fertilizer and groceries and perhaps farm tools. Not machinery, tools.
Things to keep their people alive.
Yeah. But the American public will be safe.
Yes.
Because we get to pay, there's a tariff on them. By the way, the tariff is paid by us. So, and you know where the tariff money goes? It goes to the government, which is not spending money on like things for the public. It's spending it on tax breaks for wealthy people. So basically, the tariff money is going to the wealthy. It's quite the scam. It's the second biggest scam that's running currently.
We're just giving our money right up to the big guys. Yes. I would have to think that it's also, I hear that some of the money is being skimmed and to refurbish this, the Qatari jet that we've all seemed to lost track of.
I have not lost track of it. They have to take it apart all the way down to the bolts because there's likely spy equipment installed in it.
So we really, wow, I just realized it. We really are witnessing a Trojan horse play. Somebody in Qatar thought, could they be this dumb? Let's give them a Trojan horse. Well, they're never going to take a horse. No, we'll make it look like an airplane.
They've been trying to sell this thing forever. And by, quote, giving it away, they bought much more than $400 million worth of favor from the current administration. So, I mean, see how many times Qatar is mentioned favorably in the news these days, because they're helping to broker peace deals and whatever else is going on as the money is shuffling around, hardly even in the background. I mean, you can see the world leaders stand next to each other, and you can almost see the cash that's getting handed, in the valise from one to the other as they're standing there.
It's I want to shift just a little bit because I saw one this morning in my prep for this. I saw this article headline, and this is what gets me, right, is we are as a population, as a people right now, specifically here in America, I think we are so incredibly easily distracted away from the stories that actually are important. And the story I heard this morning, I'm trying to see where what the headline was. You couldn't pass it up. Taylor Swift given green light to buy NFL team in shock move that would stun the world. Taylor Swift is not trying to buy an NFL team. Taylor Swift has not made any mention whatsoever of buying an NFL team. Some reporter asked Roger Goodall if she could buy an NFL team, and he basically offhandedly said, well, I think she has enough money to do it. And I read a 3-minute article about the fact that, well, she has enough money to buy the Kansas City Chiefs, but nobody's made any. There's no. Taylor Swift's not buying an NFL team,
and nobody's selling the Kansas City Chiefs.
And and probably not to a final year tight end who was tight end's girlfriend. Hey, I got an idea. Let's sell the team to the guy who's only got one season left. Let's go find his girlfriend, and we'll just sell her part of it. That's how we could make some money around here.
Well, after the transaction happens, you don't worry because everybody's left with the money.
True.
So,
but it makes me realize we need Taylor Swift to be on perpetual tour. Taylor Swift cannot stop touring. Unless she's pregnant, then she can take some time off. But otherwise, you got to keep touring, Taylor, because we need stuff to talk about.
And we have plenty to talk about. It's
getting pretty desperate that we're talking about the fact that you do have enough money that you could, even though you haven't.
Interestingly, Dr. Brzezinski. That particular news item did not cross my field of vision. Taylor Swift is welcome to continue touring or not. My life will continue on about the same way. And the fact that I'm not thinking about that lets me think about some other things that are going on. Little tiny things, like the EPA is about to reverse its ruling that climate change is bad and that carbon emissions influence it. Which means once that happens, there's no reason to control emissions, to limit pollution. You can go ahead and let the power plants do whatever they've been doing all along, because according to the government regulations, it no longer matters. And it didn't matter to begin with. I think that's a little bit of a cause for concern. There's also the White House is now working on the exact mechanism by which the 14th Amendment, the part about birthright citizenship, will be reversed.
Yeah.
Which means that people whose parents came to the United States and became naturalized citizens...
Visa?
What's that?
On an Einstein visa, maybe?
On any visa.
Yeah.
On any visa, and the kids were born here, and they were raised here, and they went to school here. They might be forced to go back to a country they've never actually been in.
Yes. There is I did hear they're slipping a clause in there, though. They're slipping in an escape hatch in there. They're slipping in a clause in that, in the new version of that would say, except if your name is Trump.
Or Musk.
Or Musk.
So I'm concerned about those sorts of things. There's another executive order that is going to clean up all the crime and homelessness in the United States by letting those people who are homeless be rounded up and put into some sort of supervision.
Detention camps.
Yeah, it's somebody going into our cities, and oh, by the way, the ones that are the problems are, those horrible sanctuary Democrat-run cities. So who's going to go in there and clean that up, and who's going to pay careful attention to who is actually homeless and who is just walking down the street next to a homeless guy before they get put into detention? And so there's a problem too.
Yes.
And I'm relatively old, so it's like, can I outlive this? Probably not. But, my daughter, who's in her early 30s, is like watching what's going on. And, keeps saying, is it time to leave the country? And she's looking at her ancestors, both sides, how far back, and if it's going to be an issue for her. And my question is, why should she have to look at that?
Yeah. Yep.
Yikes.
I think we all knew, all right, our generation, I think when we read 1984 by George Orwell, we did know it was written as a cautionary tale, but I think there was also a sense of, but we're not that stupid.
We'd never let it get that far.
We'd never let it get that far. But it has. And we are being told to deny what we can see with our own eyes. We are being told that what we know to be true is not happening. I was pulling up here an article that I saw. Colorado deputies violated a new state law sharing information with federal immigration agents about traffic stops. ICE is reportedly the fastest at hiring more people. There's some pretty strict regulations. You have to be white first off to even apply, but ICE is hiring more people at higher pay than ever before, and we're still saying we can't afford to take care of the people that are on the streets, rather than we're just going to throw them in detention camps.
Where to start or where to continue with all of that? And I think the fundamental flaw is, people say, oh, I want to have a businessman, to run the government like a business. And let's leave aside whether the current former businessman was actually good at being a businessman. I mean, who the hell can have a casino fail? Or three, especially in New Jersey where the machine is set up to really make it easy to be successful. Let's leave that part aside. The purpose of a business is to create a product or a service and provide value and then make money for the business owners. It's supposed to support the business owners and the investors and pay dividends, and a successful company is one that makes a profit. That is not the way a government works. The purpose of a government is to make the lives of the people in the governed country better. So more secure, more safe, more healthy, more competitive, to basically set up the playing field so that everybody can have their life. There is a lifelong commitment to the citizenry from the government, and there's not in a business. In a business, you fire people and you reorganize and you say, we're not going to do this anymore, and we're going to do that. And once you have people who are living in your country, you got to do what's necessary to take care of the people in your country. By the same token, every time the economists talk about where the economy is going, somebody will offhandedly mention that this affects consumer spending, which is the biggest driver in the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Consumer spending is the biggest driver in the economy. Okay, let's focus on the consumer spending is the biggest driver in the economy. Would it not be the business of the government to do everything possible to make sure that the consumers have plenty of money to spend? Because that's where the economic growth is going to come from. So the people who need the money are the people who are going to buy stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have a smartphone?
Oh, absolutely.
Does everybody in your family have a smartphone?
Absolutely.
If you made 10 times as much money, would you buy 10 times as many smartphones?
No, but I'd buy one much, much nicer smartphone.
Okay. But you wouldn't buy 10 times as many smartphones. You need 10 times as many people to buy 10 times as many smartphones.
Yep.
And what you want to do is have everybody able to afford that really nice smartphone that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Rich people have lots of places to sleep, but they only sleep in one place every night.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes two. Sometimes somebody else's place. Maybe there's three, but that takes a lot of acrobatics.
Yeah.
But it's not like one person with 100 times as much money as another person needs 100 places to sleep every night. They just don't.
Right.
This is not me with a political opinion. This is just, it should be common sense. Yeah, you don't need that many beds and you don't need that many smartphones, and you're certainly not going to buy that much food at the restaurant because, even the fat cats can only get so fat.
Yeah. You will be laughed at if you buy a cyber truck, though. So I just need people to know that.
I did see one of the Teslas yesterday with the apology sticker on the back.
Yeah, I've seen a few. But
I bought this before I knew.
You're hitting on something here, Bill, that I was recently introduced to a book that is outside of my norm, and it's called Abundance. It's by Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson, and it's a look at the shortcomings in many ways of both the Democratic perspective and over the last several decades, and the Republican perspective. And it dives into things like looking for the cause of why we are where we are. The numbers add up that there are more than enough empty houses in North America to home and to house everyone that's living on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And so the effect is there's people on the streets and there's empty houses. What are the causes of all of this? And how we go back to places where the government influenced, where we stopped building homes. and create an artificial shortage, or where the government tries to create an artificial surplus, and by manipulating these markets, which are supposed to be free, but in many times put us in the worst possible position we could be in. And really, what I get out of the book, and it was a fun, well, kind of in a scary movie kind of way. Like, oh shit, yeah.
If Stephen King were a journalist.
Yeah. But the end result is that for far too long, we've taken the wrong look at abundance and economics. And it really is time to have a new thought, if you will, around abundance as the absolute. And we have to be willing to help share that with our friends and neighbors, and even those we maybe don't agree with, and build a consciousness of abundance around our economic system, rather than what it is right now, which is really a consciousness of greed and lack.
And not even so much lack, just greed. Because, and I'm going to note the difference, which I do in classes a lot, between abundance and prosperity. The universe is infinitely abundant. This is one creative engine that has created billions of galaxies. The notion that the infinite creative power that creates everything is sitting there saying, I wish I could create one more star, but I just don't have enough star-making stuff. It's preposterous. It's preposterous. And here we are on one little planet next to one little sun in one little galaxy, and the engine keeps on working. Prosperity is our experience of having enough to meet the requirements of the moment. As you say, there is plenty of housing to home everybody in our country. There is plenty of food to feed everybody on the planet. It is not an abundance problem. It is a distribution problem. And the distribution gets upended because of greed, because, I have control over this, and I want to maintain my control, and I want to be in a position of power, so I'm going to leverage that by keeping it away from the people who I don't like and giving it to the people who I do like and forcing them to give me the stuff that I want to have instead. Every time somebody in the news talks about the challenge with housing, they say there's a shortage of affordable housing. And everybody thinks it's a housing problem, and it's an affordable problem.
Right.
And when we let lots of investors buy up the properties and run up the values of them and not rent them to the people who they don't want to rent them to, then we wind up with a problem of a lack of affordable housing. Changing that formula around so that the houses that are sitting empty or that are waiting for somebody to come along and make a big offer on, that changes the game. Same thing, my opinion, with healthcare. We do not have a healthcare system that's got a problem in this country. We have a health insurance and a health care payment problem. So, when somebody talks about healthcare, the next sentence is always about insurance. Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance, single payer, that all turns into, and it's all about who's going to pay for the care. So I've seen doctors, and they are wonderfully skilled and devoted. The imaging technology is spectacular. I feel very well cared for when I go to see one of my healthcare providers. And granted, I am a 66-year-old white man living in one of the 10 largest metro areas in the country. So that kind of is, goes as part of the formula here. Go way out into the country, be a person of color, be reliant on a different system, have my company's been paying my health insurance for me or supporting it for me and my family, and then they get run out of town, so I no longer have the job. That's where the problems come from.
Yeah. Or mismanagement, and the insurance company just declares bankruptcy to get out of their problems. This is another, in this book, Abundance, that I read, this is another example of where we discouraged, as a country, we discouraged the medical schools. There was a decision that America had too many doctors. We didn't need that many doctors, but everybody thought that was the way to wealth and prosperity. So we discouraged the building of new medical schools, and we limited the number of spots for medical schools. So even though there were a lot of people that wanted to become doctors, they couldn't. The schools were full. We didn't build enough hospitals, so the schools couldn't. And people would say, well, just, increase enrollment, let more people into the school. Well, there's not enough hospitals, which means there's not enough residency positions. So there's not enough places for people to actually learn how to doctor once they've got the degree. So again, why would you increase your capacity to teach people when there's nowhere for them to go? The long run, we end up with a lack of trained primary physicians, and now everybody is forced. Primary physicians, all they do is say, yeah, you need to see a specialist.
Right.
Yes, they stamp a form whether you are allowed to go see a doctor that understands or not, and we drive up the healthcare prices. I'm actually seeing it right now in pet care. We've done the same. I don't remember my parents ever needing pet insurance for our pets. Your pet had a problem, you go to the vet. Yeah, it might be a little more expensive than you really liked, but it wasn't to the point where you need pet insurance to cover it all. And we have an ailing little Pomeranian who has now been diagnosed with an invasive cancer in her toe, and the prescription is to amputate the toe, and that would come before we have to amputate the whole paw, or the cancer gets up into her leg. And the base cost to remove a toe for this pet is astronomical.
Mm-hmm.
And I even asked the hospital, the company that we are a member of, how much of my insurance covers this? Oh no, your insurance doesn't cover any of this. Wait a minute, I pay you guys pet insurance. Where's the coverage for if they get, oh, well, we don't cover those things. You got to pay for those things. And I mean, this sounds trivial compared to the costs if a human has a health concern.
Mm-hmm.
But the comparables are there that I think in many ways we have built systems that are just unsustainable. And that's the scary part, is what happens when the health insurance system does fail completely and 7 billion humans are left on the planet without a way to access quality health care.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think our leaders do either, but that's what we do around here, right, folks?
Yep.
We look to the vision of, okay, there has to be a way forward in all this. Whether it's Donald Trump and fixing up airline jets, whether I didn't see this story, but I want to say hi to Linda. ICE officers firing on immigrants, whether it's computer companies stealing our data, or pedophiles running the government. These are the effects of causative beliefs held earlier. We can change those beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
We can be agents that help people to see that scarcity is not the norm, that greed, and I really want the billionaires to finally wake up and say, okay, enough is enough. We're going to kick down some money and take care of some shit.
Likely that's not going to happen until the rest of the population shows up with pitchforks. That historically has been how that happens. How dare you take away my fill in the blank? with the government saying, well, let them eat cake.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of thing that happens. And, we mention all of these problems, and some people just try and brush them off. And I understand the desire to do that. Here's another fun exercise that you can do. In the same way that you can prove to yourself that vanilla is a flavor, you can very easily get evidence about whether or not you're being surveilled. Okay? Here's what you do. Get together with a group of people. Don't change anything about the environment. Just have a conversation, like for 10 minutes, about something that's way off topic, about bubble bath or marshmallows or silk pajamas. Just have a conversation for 10 minutes.
I think I know what you have in mind for the weekend.
Marshmallows, silk pajamas, and that's...
And bubble baths.
And bubble bath. There we go. And it can be anything. Make it be about motor oil or, NASCAR races. Anything. Just have a detailed conversation. Yeah, that's a whole weekend. It's a different weekend, right?
You just ruined a really good fantasy with
Look where your mind is going. Anyway, just have this conversation and then go about your life and then watch what happens to the ads in your social media and your online world. Yep. Whatever was in that conversation is showing up all over the place.
Yes.
And it will continue until you don't buy anything for a while, and then it'll tamp itself back down.
Well, actually, and then if you buy something, then it ramps up. Mm-hmm. Because they're betting that you don't like the version of what you bought, and you're going to want to go buy a different one.
Oh yeah, and the same thing if you go find one and put it in your shopping cart and then leave.
Yes.
Then you will be chased continuously. And try the same experiment, same group of people, but take your smartphones and all of your devices, turn them off and put them in a different room, and then have the conversation for 10 minutes. And the results will be completely different.
Yeah. Yep. I would have to admit that I think I may have at one point put a few $1,000s worth of Trump election merchandise into a cart that I eventually abandoned. Every once in a while, you sure you don't want that hat? Yeah, I'm sure I don't want that hat. Thanks.
I had some friends who kept on getting their free tickets for rallies that they were never going to go to.
Exactly.
Because they wanted to help provide an empty seat. I saw a great quote yesterday, and it was about Senator Josh Hawley. Mm-hmm. And the quote was, "Suffering a momentary lapse of treason."
I saw a absolutely perfect meme this week, cartoon, single panel. And it's that scene from the end of the original Planet of the Apes where he discovers that there's the Statue of Liberty kind of just sticking out of the ground a little bit.
Yeah.
And the two people walking away, the one caption says, "I wonder how this all started." And the other one's caption says, "Well, see, there was this list." And to me, I think that this list, the Epstein list, whatever we want to call it, supposedly, I just saw a report yesterday of a woman that found a copy of his typed address book floating on the streets of Manhattan back in the 80s or in the 90s or something, and she picked it up. Ran onto hard times, so she sold it on eBay. So somebody else picked it up, and they're now trying to authenticate if this was really a copy of Epstein's little black book from that time frame. And it does have Donald Trump's name and phone numbers in it, but a lot of people are in this book. The point I'm getting to here is I do believe this could be the bomb. This could be the fuse. This could be that flame that is going to burn and purge American politics to the core. I've seen memes, right? I don't care if Bill Clinton's in the book. Come on. Bill Clinton's probably is in that book. And Donald's in the book. And I'm grateful there's probably some people that aren't in the book. We're pretty clear that Obama's not on those flight logs. We're pretty clear that Joe Biden's not on those flight logs. But when Donald Trump says when Donald tries to hide it by saying I never had the privilege of being invited to the island, it's kind of like, yeah, bullshit, buddy. Come on. You really don't expect me to believe that, do you? But this list does have I think, the ability to cut through all of it. If you were traveling to Epstein's Island, there's very little denying that you didn't know something was up. You might not have known exactly what was going on. You might, same with Diddy. You might not have known exactly what was going on, but you had a pretty good idea that this wasn't a healthy place to be. That kind of overt sexualization of life, of success, was a good idea. So I want to see it all, and I think that the far right wants to see it all.
Well, that's the part that's interesting, is that now there are lots of people, including the ones that are closest in on the in the orbit, that have been trying to protect the current administration, are saying, well, we want to see this too.
Yeah.
So, and are those going to be the people with pitchforks? Really? You're rounding people up and throwing them into alligator Alcatraz and taking people off of health care, and $900 million or $1 billion away from Medicaid, and $1 billion away from public broadcasting. And the part that we're going to be worried about is that they're pedophiles. I mean, that's the icing on the cake as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm saying that it's all horrible, and that goes into the mix. And if that happens to be what makes the unraveling happen, then I'm okay with that. So you know what Josh Hawley did that caused Donald Trump to decide that he's just a pawn of the Democrats?
No.
This guy who basically fist pumped the January 6th rioters before the riot.
Right.
He introduced legislation to issue $600 tariff relief checks to people.
We can't afford that. I got a jet that I'm building. Come on, who is this guy? What's he thinking?
Right.
$600.
And then he introduced a bill that would ban stock trading for members of Congress and the president and vice president.
Now,
and Trump on social media said, I don't think real Republicans want to see their president, who has had unprecedented success, targeted because of the whims of a second-tier senator.
But we should arrest Nancy Pelosi. He called for Nancy Pelosi's an investigation into Nancy Pelosi for insider trading this week as well, right? So yeah, I don't think we should target Republicans, but I think we should target Democrats.
Well, yeah, as long as you're consistent in your misapplication of the law. And what was that Nancy Pelosi meme coin? I'm trying to remember. Oh, no, she didn't have one.
That's right. She didn't have one. Neither did her spouse. Neither did her child. Yeah, it's. I mean, we laugh, folks. We understand these are important things, and Dr. Bill, you're so right. We have so many things. That's been part of their agenda, I believe. Project 2025 agenda from the very beginning it's a splatter gun of things that nobody can keep up with what is real. Yeah. And Trump is a master at the lies, at the speculation, at the outright denials. I mean, I would love to see the Epstein list be the thing that takes him down. I would love to see his policies on immigration and the concentration camps that we're building take him down. I would love to see people rise up over healthcare. Heck, I'll even take it if they rise up and lynch him because he cheats at golf. Like, if that's what it takes, cool. Golfers, I understand, can be really particular about their cheaters. Like, disgrace golf of all things. Like, let that be the key. I don't care. But I believe, and an important part of this is, and I've heard this in a number of places, there are more awakened people on the planet right now than ever before. There is a higher level of consciousness on this planet right now than ever before. The low level stuff, the greed and the avarice and all that are getting the attention, but they're more woke on the world now than ever before, and we have to be prepared and ready and not burnt out, but prepared and ready to step into the leadership, to step into professing this consciousness, to pushing forward the agenda that we are creating a world that works for all. There's a lot of uncreating going on of the things that no longer work, but we are the ones that are going to do the work, not only in consciousness, but rebuilding what is being destroyed here and now.
I always had the assumption that the leading edge of technology and science and innovation and thought and free thinking and creativity and all the rest of that was American, because for my entire lifetime it had been. And the question is not, will that continue? Because, I mean, the purpose of Project 2025 is to destroy American exceptionalism. Because, when you go out to dinner with dad buys, because that's what happens. And when you say, yeah, I'm dad, I'm not buying anymore, you're going to have to work it out for yourself. Which is what we're saying.
Yep.
We're not going to feed the hungry. We're not going to provide health care. We're not going to be the innovative leaders. We're not going to have the CDC to say this is how you deal with an epidemic or a pandemic. We're not going to provide that leadership in taking care of the environment or technology. Okay, well, somebody's going to pick up the tab for dinner, and then everybody's going to turn to them and say, "Wow, thank you so much," and they do it again and again and again, and suddenly they're the new leader.
Yeah.
And dad has become irrelevant. And am I okay with that being a different country? For some other nation to be the leader. It goes against all of my previous experience and all of my assumptions, but whatever is going to bring peace and harmony and success and joy and affordable housing and, fill in the rest of your list. That's the world that works for everybody. And it doesn't necessarily, all center on, the White House or Washington, D.C., or the thoughts of the privileged. There is a change that is possible.
Now, I happen to know that there are several world leaders that watch this program religiously. So we're speaking to you folks now.
And that, by the way, is the only way to watch this program is religiously.
Yes. And we're calling on the world. It's time for someone to step up and pay for dinner. We need somebody to pick up the tab because we can't do it.
Yeah, and let me even be specific about that. That's when we get to take into our prayer and our meditation and our intentionality. When we say a world that works for everybody, then what are those pieces? And am I willing to let go of my attachment to things going back to the way they used to be or when they seem to be working and to a new possibility? So the world working for everybody is a different outlook on it. Maybe I don't have all of the advantages that I've always had because everybody has an advantage.
Right.
And we're not, evaluating ourselves based on the fact that I have everything and I don't care what anybody else has. It's like we all have enough. Is that going to be okay with me? And be honest with yourself. Do that in the quiet of your own meditative practice and listen for the still small voice to tell you whether or not you're okay with the world working okay for everybody, even if it takes a little bit of the comfort and convenience that you've come to count on away.
Yeah. Yep. Folks, you heard it here, because we've done about run out of time for today.
Thank heaven. Thank heaven. We just get ourselves in more trouble.
Probably could. I want to give a quick shout out. Hello, good morning, Maria. Yes, we are creating. I like that phrase, a new earth. We're creating heaven on earth, and the earth is recreating itself this week. For that, we didn't even talk about the earthquake, the 6th largest earthquake known to man, ripping open volcanoes, and everybody. And my understanding was there were a lot of tremblers felt around Mount Rainier. So prayer for Earth to settle down a little this week. We don't need Mount Rainier going up.
Yeah, and the thought that that happened off the Russian coast means we don't have to pay any attention to it. We only got the one Earth. We're all sharing it.
Exactly. Yep. Folks, you've been watching New Thought Ministers. What are we watching? We're watching Ministers Talking Shit on a Friday morning here on the New Thought Media Network. My dear friend and colleague, Reverend Dr. Bill Marcioni from New Thought Philadelphia, has been my special guest today. Thank you, sir, for being with us. I would invite you back, but I know you'll come back whether I invite you or not, and that's a good thing.
That's true. Thank you for falling for that ruse and letting me back in.
Yes. Absolutely. Folks, we got a full day of broadcasting here on the New Thought Media Network. Stay tuned. Stay with us. Rev Skip. And the High Vibe Hour is at 11. Just one you at 1 o'clock with Reverend Barb. The good news, Design Science Everywhere. Check out this show. 2 o'clock Mountain Time on Fridays. The Divine Science Everywhere. With just an amazing cast of characters, including Bishop Darrell Watkins. Always a great show. Check that out. The good news is at 5, and the Fireside Chat with Reverend Michael is at 6 p.m. Mountain Time today. Stay with us on New Thought Media Network and stay involved. Keep your, I guess I'm going to just say it this way, keep your consciousness high this week, and we'll be back again next Friday. But until then, we want to wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.